I made a connection with Mr. Nuzzo because he's very fair and he won't back down to helping anybody.
The teacher I have the most connection with is Ms. Burns. Not also does she help us with our work, and she's pretty funny most of the times, and she's glad. She's always happy, and she's cool to hang out with sometimes. Um, yeah, she's one of the nicest teachers here. There are multiple, but I think I like her the best.
I have a connection with Ms. Coco because she's like another mother to me. She's always on my back, and it can be annoying sometimes, but she does care.
Miss Miller, she helps me with my work a lot. She deals this with me.
I feel I have a connection with Miss D'Andrea a lot because, she teaches social studies and I really like to learn about that stuff, especially the wars.
I have a connection with Miss Epifano because I feel like I could tell her anything and she will help me with it, and I love her. She's awesome.
I would say that I have a connection with Miss Coco because we both speak Spanish and she seems to get me most of the time.
Probably Mr. Rosa because he's pretty cool.
Miss Betty because she understands I need help sometimes and she finds that help, and yeah.
I have a connection with Mr. Rosa because he's a gym teacher and I like to play sports, so it's like a connection.
I like Miss Miller because she's very easy to talk to about certain things.
The teacher that I've connected with is Miss Burns because she's my fave and she's like always been there for me when I needed her advice and stuff.
So I guess I have a special connection with Mr. Gazzo because I've known him since 5th grade, and through running, even though I never did it, and through all the extra credit he always gives me and everything.
I have a connection with Miss P because she helps me with everything and she's very trustworthy.
The most connection with Mr. Nuzzo because we both are big fans of DC Comics.
I have a connection with Miss Andrews because she's a really nice teacher and she helps me whenever I have trouble.
Okay, so my favorite teacher, the connection I have a teacher with the most is Miss D'Andrea because she understands kids since she has kids of her own, and she would let you refix your grades, and she understands the kind of stress you're going through because she's in that position.
I have a connection with Miss D'Andrea because she's respectful and has a great mind.
The teacher I have a connection with is Gazzo, probably because when I was bullied in the 7th grade, he was there and he kind of picked me out of that mess.
I have most connected with Mr. Gazzo because he is very nice to us and he just gets everyone motivated.
So I have a connection with Miss Burns because I can really trust her. And yeah, I can tell her anything I need to.
I have the best connection I have with is Mr. Rosa because he knows we have favorite, we have the similar sports and all that, and we know the same things.
Mr. Carlson because he helps me with my grades.
The teacher I have most of connection with is Mr. Carlson because he's always looking out for me, and anytime I get in trouble or if I'm in the bubble upstairs, he's always the one giving me a pep talk and telling me to do right and always helping me get my work done, and not in only science but in different classes.
We miss Andrews because she lets us do fun things, and she does reading fun.
The teacher that I have a connection with is Miss Ann Roman because when I was in a really bad depression, she was the teacher that was there to really talk to me and help me through it.
My teacher that I have a connection with is probably Gazzo, just because he is the running coach and I've been running for 3 years, and I felt like we just have a really good bond and he's always there for me. And
probably connected with Gazzo the most because we spent a lot of time with him through running from 6th grade and having him as a teacher for 2 years.
Burns is a teacher I have connections with because she is nice, friendly, and she's honest with all of us.
Connection with Mr. Jara because he made me like math more and he was a really fun teacher.
Teacher I feel like I have the most connection with is Mr. Nuzzo because he loves science, I like science, and I love
doing projects with him.
For the teachers that I have the best connection with would be Mrs. Sisson because she's my advisory teacher and she's pretty cool because like sometimes she'll notice bad stuff but she'll light up on things and if she does notice bad stuff she'll report it, but overall she's a cool teacher.
Mr. Rosa because he helps me with a lot. So like if I'm down, he picks me up and motivates me to do better.
The teacher that I have a connection with is Miss Lansbach because we both share an interest in art and she's sort of my inspiration.
Alright, so for a teacher that I have a connection with, I would say Mr. Carlson because he's my advisory teacher and he's really nice to everybody and he could be like joking around sometimes, but he can also be really actually take his job seriously while.
I had a connection with Mr. Dreyer because he helped me out with math when I didn't understand a problem.
Mr. Carlson because he always helps me out with all my grades and everything like that.
I like Miss Miller because she's nice and understanding.
The teacher I had the most connection with is Miss Enrollment. Why? Because she's always there for me when I need her, and she understands what I go through. Like she's been #1 teacher, the go-to teacher since I've been here.
Gazo has connected with me a lot this year and the past couple because he is an amazing person and teacher and coach, and I really appreciate everything that he's done.
The teacher I have a connection with is Mrs. Burns because she treats me with a lot of respect and she's always there to work with me and I know she can bring me to my best potential.
I would pick Miss DeAndrea because she's nice and she's fun and yeah. I have a connection with Mr. Dreyer because he's really nice and helps me whenever I need help with stuff.
I'd say Miss Andrews because she was the one teacher that I was able to talk to and she was someone who would help me in reading.
Nice connection with Miss Rashino. She knows me well. She knows me well. She knows how to calm me down. We both have this stuff connection like laughing and we both she has a skin problem too and she knows what I'm going through and stuff like that.
Teacher I have a connection with is Gazo because he's my running coach and he's really helpful.
I have a connection with Mr. Fulton because he's funniest and he's the most understanding.
The teacher that I have a connection with, I would say is Mrs. Andrews because she knows when something's up or when something's wrong and she'll try to help you out with it.
I bond with Mr. Nuzzo because me and him are both into sports.
My favorite teacher was Mr. Dreyer because he was nice and he was funny and he made a big impact on me.
I like Mr. Gaza because he's funny.
My favorite teacher is Miss DeAndrea because she makes social studies a fun class. Gazo because he makes learning fun and he's really nice and funny.
My favorite teacher would have to be Miss P because she helps me out when I need help and she's very nice and funny.
My favorite teacher is Miss Miller because she's really nice and she knows what she's talking about.
My favorite teacher is Miss DeAndrea because she helps me when I'm down and if for my baseball team when I get in trouble she talks me through not getting in trouble to get kicked off the baseball team. She helps me study and not get bad grades.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Nuzzo because he's really nice and his advisory is fun because we play around with the ball and we throw around the ball.
I think my favorite teacher is Miss DeAndrea. She makes learning fun and is just all around caring teacher.
My favorite teacher is Miss Miller.
Well, my favorite teacher is Mr. Carlson just because I feel when I have problems, the beginning of the year, I was having trouble with keeping up my behavior on the baseball team. He sort of guided me through it and helped me maintain the behavior I needed to stay on the team.
Mr. Gazo is my favorite teacher and it's because he's really funny.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Nuzzo because we relate to sports and I like doing experiments with him.
My favorite teacher has to be Ms. Hansbeck because she helps me align art and improve.
My favorite teacher is Miss Peluso because she is very kind. She is very responsible, and she is, I don't know.
Miss DeAndrea because she makes social studies fun and she doesn't overload work.
My favorite teacher is Miss Miller because she's helped me through my problems and is a really good teacher on how she explains stuff.
Favorite teacher is Miss Ann Roman because, to me personally, she makes me feel really comfortable. She got me into a lot of opportunities. She's almost like a second mother to me.
Mr. Gazzo. Well, it's Mr. Gazzo. He's my favorite.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Gazzo because he's cool and everyone likes him. Yeah.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Dreyer because he made a big impact on me because he's really funny and a talented teacher.
My favorite teacher is Miss Betty because even though there are times when we do argue and I don't talk back and she gets mad and we all start yelling and I'm not behaving, at the end she'll still help us, and she's really a teacher. She really cares. She's passionate, and she will actually try to help with my work. She cares about me. She cares about what she does, and she's an excellent teacher in person.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Dreyer because he's sarcastic and funny and nice to me, and I've learned a lot from him this year.
Gazzo because he tells like really funny stories about how he taught in other schools and like other kids and stuff.
Alright, my favorite teacher that I had a bond with was Mr. Nuzzo because he liked the same sports and he was a very nice teacher.
Miss Epifano because she's funny. She like helps us with our problems. She teaches us, and she's the best teacher I ever had.
Favorite teacher is Mr. Nuzzo because he's really nice and I get to have free time.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Nuzzo because he's a lot of fun and he does a lot of stuff with us that's exciting, and he's really nice.
My favorite teacher is Miss Ann Rowan because she almost reminds me as a second mom. She's really caring to her students. She knows how to do her job very well.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Gazzo because he's my running coach and he made me a better runner.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Nuzzo because if you don't get your work done, he gives you like an extra day or two to finish it.
My favorite person is Mr. Mendenhall because he's always there to help me when I need it.
Fonka, he always helped me with my work.
Mr. Dreyer is my favorite teacher because he helped me improve in math and he's very funny and sarcastic.
My favorite teacher is Miss Betty because she helps me with my work and makes sure I get a good grade.
Okay, so my favorite teacher was Mr. Dreyer because he was funny and he helped me with a lot of my work, and he was overall just nice to me and was a good teacher to me.
My favorite teacher would be Mr. Gazzo because he explains the real reason why World War II was, like, it started, and he explains all the details correctly more than other teachers, and he's really nice. I think the most teacher I have bond with is Mr. Nuzzo because science is my favorite subject, and from the past, this whole year, he's been showing us cool activities, and also he is a very kind teacher, and I hope that the kids in elementary treat him the way that I did. Miss Betty because she helps me with my work whenever I need it, and she never gives up on me.
My favorite teacher is Miss Ann Roman because she's so kind and she knows how to like make a joke when it's an appropriate time.
Miss Epifano. That's it. Okay, I like Mr. Carlson. He's my favorite teacher because he's funny, he's cool, and no one could be as sarcastic as he is. He's just awesome.
The teacher that I most bonded with this year was Miss Andrews because she was really nice and she let us like have fun in her class.
My favorite teacher is Miss Andrews because she's very, very fun, and that's pretty much it.
I think my favorite teacher would have to be Miss Andrews because she treats me with respect, and all the other teachers do too, but I think I like Miss Andrews the best out of all the other teachers.
Miss DeAndrea because she makes us work harder, and I have a 99 in her class right now.
Mr. Gazzo because he is funny and he relates with the students.
My favorite teacher this year was Mr. Carlson for two reasons. A, because he always challenged me to be a better student than I already was, and B, because he was always really cool about whatever I told him I needed.
My favorite teachers are Mrs. Miller, Mr. Roman, Mr. Bolton, and Mr. Gasso.
Miss D'Angelo is my favorite teacher of the school year because she was always there to help me.
My favorite teacher is Miss Miller because she's nice and she always helps me out.
My favorite teacher is Miss D. She's my favorite teacher because she cares for me when I'm hurt. She's nice and she helps me with my schoolwork, and she makes sure that I do my best no matter what.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Dreyer because he's really funny and he's kind of sarcastic, but it makes him a good teacher, and he makes a big impact on our class, and he teaches us really well, and he made me improve in math.
My favorite teacher would be Mr. J because we both relate in football.
Mr. J because he was my first grade substitute teacher.